This video, I hate having to explain myself, at least not explain like personal details or share with you guys things that happen behind closed doors, because I think just certain things don't need to be said on the internet. Some things should be kept in private, and not everybody needs to know your ins and outs of everything. But given the circumstances and how everyone is caught by surprise of how I moved and what I did, I figure it's only right that I share with you guys what happened, why things are the way they are. I remember when I was living with my ex, Chris had reached out to me one time and asked me how I was doing, if everything was okay. Just checking on me. It was so random. He wrote to me randomly. I think he did that twice, if I'm not mistaken, or if it was one time, I don't remember. But I was with my ex at that time. He asked me how I was doing, and my ex seen that conversation. And Chris was just asking me how I was doing, and that was pretty much it. And then when me and Josue broke up, I was like, you know what? Let me hit up Chris. Maybe we can link out here in Orlando. We can record some videos or whatever. And that's how that happened. We started talking. He's like, oh, you could collaborate now? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So that happened. Everybody knows I went to Texas. We linked together. I was staying at a hotel. Second time I went over there, I ended up staying in his house. But I was going to stay at a hotel. But because something happened with the hotel, I didn't stay in the hotel. So I ended up being in his house. So Chris and I decided that we should collaborate. It was a good move for the both of us. It will help the both of us. It was like a business move. Everybody knows that. That goes without saying. Everybody knows that we linked up together not to be in a relationship, not to get back at nobody. It was just a business move for the both of us. And that's literally how we went in with it. I remember talking to Chris here in Florida, and he was like, you should come out here and stay with me in Texas for a whole month. And I was like, a month? I was like, oh no, Chris, I don't think I could do that. In the midst of that conversation with Chris, I also told him, Chris, I know there's potential, and I know we can make a lot of money, and I know this is a good move for the both of us, and this will be fun or whatnot. But I told him, I said, I'm scared that being that I just got out of a relationship and I am vulnerable, I'm scared that I fall for you, or I like start loving you and I start wanting to be with you, and I know that I'm not in the headspace to be in a relationship. He was like, don't worry about none of that. Don't think about that. If that happens, then let that happen on its own, but don't think about that. I'm not gonna hurt you, I'm not gonna force you into anything or whatever. He made me feel super comfortable, and my heart was still heavy. And I was still thinking, and I was still so scared that I was going to fall for him because I was vulnerable and I had just gotten out of a relationship. And I was just afraid. I was just afraid that my walls wasn't up. I was afraid that I wasn't strong enough to be with another man and not get my feelings involved. I was just, the whole idea of being with somebody else for a long time, because I know what it is to be with someone for a long time, I was scared. But he made me feel secure and made me feel comfortable. With that being said, I ended up making that move, and I go to Texas, and I stay in for the whole month. I think that was the month of November. And we was just bangers after bangers and posting videos and posting videos. We were super productive, and it was a great month together. Everything was going good. I think where things started getting complicated when we mixed business with pleasure. I feel like that was the biggest fallout. I feel like I should have never opened up that door, and I should just stood my ground and stood strong and not be weak by temptations or whatever the case may be. But I am grown. Things happen. But I feel like had we not mixed business with pleasure, things wouldn't have gotten this complicated, honestly. And to be quite honest, I did like Chris. I seen potential in him. There was so many things that I liked about him, and I was still getting to know him. So I kind of trusted him, and I was like, let's see, maybe it can happen. If we're doing so good together and we have this beautiful chemistry, like, he might just be the one. That's what I thought to myself. We did all those fun things Chris was amazing. Our time together was amazing. We had a great time together. The chemistry was definitely there, and all that. Everything that you guys seen was true. We wasn't faking. I cannot act. I'm not a good actor, y'all. I'm really not. End up liking him, liking the person that he was, and liking the person that he is, and I guess vice versa. The feelings were mutual. We clicked so well. But you don't really know a person in a month. I feel like you get to know a person when you start living with them and you spend a lot of time with them. A month is not enough. But the beginning, like every relationship out there, the beginning is always like honeymoon stage or whatever. It's definitely one of those things, to be honest. Anytime that you saw us like not post for like 4 days, 5 days or whatever, every time that happened, there was a reason behind it. Petty arguments. I'm talking the most pettiest of the pettiest. That it didn't even make sense for it to go that long of us not talking. But whenever there was an argument or disagreement, whatever, Chris wouldn't talk to me for 3 or 4 days, literally, while I was out in Texas. Like, I would wake up in the morning and he won't say a word to me. I would try to say something to him and it was very like one-word answers, and he just wouldn't talk to me. It didn't happen once or twice or 3 times. It happened a few times that Chris just would lash out and not talk to me for 4 days. And I remember feeling so alone in Texas. I even told my friend, I said, I feel more alone here than in my own apartment, and I live by myself. Like, I'm with Chris here and it's like I feel so lonely. I don't like this feeling. And I remember telling him, like, I don't deserve to be feeling like this for something so petty. It's not cool. Like, I'm out here by myself. I don't have my own car. I can't move freely around in Texas. This is not where I'm from. And I'm here at your convenience. So don't make me feel that way. I mean, 4 days in the house and not saying one word to each other, not even looking at each other. And then it was over something so petty. So petty that it didn't even make sense. And I was just like, why is he acting like this? I mean, he will go to the bed and turn over and not talk to me, not look at me. And it's not that I did something wrong. It would be, for example, I had asked him, I think he mentioned this in his video. I asked him about him inviting someone to the studio with him. And the reason why I had asked him about it was because I was staying with him in the house. And there was a night that I didn't go with him to the studio and he went by himself. I didn't feel like going, I don't know why, but I didn't go. I stayed home, and that made me ask him, like, did you really invite somebody to the studio when I didn't go? And the only reason why I asked that was because at that point we was already intimate, and I would never be okay with me staying in someone's house and he's dipping and over there trying to sleep with somebody else at a studio. So that's why I asked him that. I was like, he did not just try to play me while I'm in the house and he's inviting someone to the studio. But that that situation got shut down. But I was like, Chris, did you invite somebody to the studio? I didn't go. He was like, what are you talking about? He starts getting loud and he's like, I didn't invite nobody. Look at the message. He shows me the messages, and from what it looked like, he wasn't talking to her or invited her to the studio. He even called her in front of me, and I told him, don't do that. You don't have to do that. He called her in front of me and she's like, oh no, I haven't spoken to you, whatever. So that shut me down. But in that conversation, he was like, you're not even my girl, so don't ask me no questions about no girl, no nothing. And I was like, oh, okay. Copy, heard you, noted, I won't ask you. And we get back to the house, time starts, the time of not communicating anymore. 4 days not talking to me straight. Like if I was put in some punishment or something like that. He was not talking to me 4 days straight. Mind you, I'm already over the situation. It's fine. You cleared it up, whatever. But it's like not moving. How do we move forward from it? Our communication was terrible. And it was like if he was mad 4 days or 5 days, we was not gonna be talking. It was just me laying in the house, him on 2K all day, and just not exchanging not one word. Not one word. It's a horrible feeling. It's a horrible feeling being in a household with someone and you guys are not exchanging any words, walking past each other like nothing, not talking. It's frustrating. It's so irritating. It's like, do you really feel for me? Because it doesn't seem that way. Your actions say otherwise. Talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. And what goes on social media, what's said on social media, oh, I feel this, I'm hurt, I'm this and that. Make sure your actions add up, because the pettiness and the things you do behind closed doors don't match up. But not talking for 4 days straight and that constantly happened took a toll on me and on how I viewed our friendship and how I viewed if there was a potential relationship. I knew that that's something that I wasn't gonna want to deal with. Someone not talking to me for 3 days and not being able to communicate with me. Like, I can't do that. It's just so dramatic. It was petty. It was unnecessary, but it happened a few times. And I started realizing that when someone plays the victim, they'll lash out so that you don't question them anymore about certain things. You don't ask them certain questions that they don't want to be asked. But when they ask you a question, they expect an answer. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if I'm right, but maybe I feel like that is a tactic one has when they don't want to answer a question, or they just want to get away with what they want to get away with. They want you to learn, like, you know what? Don't ask me no questions, because if you keep asking me questions, this is what I'm gonna do to you. I'm not gonna talk to you. I'm gonna treat you like shit. Not treat me like shit, like physically, or talk to me bad or whatever, but, you know, not talk to me. And I didn't like that. I felt like that was a tactic that I caught on to, and I didn't appreciate it. And then things started escalating. That gets frustrating. Those emotions start to build up, and then name calling started happening. But sometimes it would just come out of my mouth like, you acting like this, you acting like that. Like, why are you acting like that? That doesn't make sense. It got toxic. The night that I booked my flight to Los Angeles, I was talking to my girlfriend who I hadn't seen in a really long time. And she's like, you should come, you should come. And at that moment, I was like, yeah, I need to get out of here. I want to go. I need some time apart from his space and from being in Texas. I was always in Texas. I kept flying to Texas. I was staying there for a really long time. Barely even stayed at my house. This is the longest I've been in my house. So, and nothing. My girlfriend invited me and she was like, come. And I was like, sure, let me go. And I stayed with my girlfriend for my whole trip. I was with her. She's very much involved in the music industry. So we was at the studio a lot. And she also works with Jay. And one day we did go visit him, which everybody saw in the internet. And we wasn't there for more than an hour. I kid you not, and I put that on anything. We talked a little bit, caught up a little bit, and that was really it. Nothing happened, and that makes me bring up the prank that I did on Chris. And that prank idea came from Chris. So let's knock that out there, because I know people are in the comments like, oh, she probably did do this, she probably did do that, yada yada yada, this is why it becomes toxic, this and that. But that was Chris's idea. When I was in Cali, Chris had called me and he was like, did you do this with him, did you do that? And I was like, no, Chris, I didn't. Then he was upset that everybody was making it more than what it was, and I too was upset. I was like, oh my god, this is ridiculous, because it was like me moving innocently bites me in the ass no matter what, because it's like I'm not supposed to do anything. I can't be seen here, I can't be seen there, because I'm tied on to something that I'm really not tied on to. I'm really not in a relationship. So it sucks how you gotta move a certain way now, you know, because you're exposing your life to social media. But I know my conscience is clean. I'm not guilty of anything. So I made sure that Chris felt that about me and felt that I was being genuine about my response and how I was in California. And all he wanted was for me to come back home, go back to Texas. And while I was in Texas, while we were texting each other, he was like, Jay is off limits, unfollow him and unfollow all those dudes that you followed that they're with the game or whatever. Mind you, these are older men, and none of them disrespected me. None of them came out their mouth and violated me or always being fresh or tried anything with me. They were being so genuine. I felt like I was networking with people, and I met nice, genuine people. So to please him and for him not to think anything of it, like if I cared that much about some dudes, I unfollowed them. And honestly, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that because I shouldn't have to. I didn't do anything wrong. No one is being disrespectful to me. No one is trying to get in my pants. Like, he's justifying that's why he wanted me to follow them. It was none of that. I didn't get those vibes. I'm a grown woman. I know when a guy does that. I can handle that myself. You don't have to handle that for me. No one does. So anyway, I end up unfollowing them, which I shouldn't have, because I gave him more than an inch of controlling me when he's not even my man. But I did, to show him my loyalty to him, I guess. Moving forward, I went back to Texas, and not even 24 hours passed and me and Chris got into a big fight. I was like, oh my God, I should have never left California, because I can't believe this is happening in less than 24 hours. We made a video, everything was going well. The night came and he did something and I questioned him about it. His response was vague, and then he started giving me an attitude because he didn't want to go into details. So I kind of pressed the issue a little bit more, and I guess that irritated him. So he starts getting mad and he doesn't want to talk to me no more. Then he stops talking to me for another 4 days. He turns around and I said, Chris, but I'm not even yelling, I'm not getting mad. Why are you raising your voice or whatever? Like, it's a simple question. If you're gonna question me about my doings, what I did in California, or tell me to do this to please you, whatever, if I'm asking you a question, why can't you answer my question? I started to feel like he can ask me whatever he wants to ask me, and I can't do that to him. And I was like, that's not right. That doesn't make sense to me. It's not gonna work like that. So I started realizing that whenever he didn't want to be asked questions or whatever, he would lash out and just not talk to me for a few days. And that's what happened. And now Valentine's Day is around the corner. Valentine's Day was like, what, 2 days left for Valentine's Day, and we weren't good at all. We wasn't talking at all. I was like, I'm not about to sit here on Valentine's Day with a man that's not looking at me, that's not talking to me, that's not saying nothing to me for no good reason. It was so petty. I was like, I just can't do it. I would try to communicate with him. I remember cooking him breakfast as soon as I came back from California. Every day I was making him breakfast, making him dinner. And those 4 or 5 days that we wasn't talking, I was still making him breakfast. He wasn't saying thank you to me. He wasn't saying anything to me. Nothing. I was trying to communicate with him, say some words, but it was very bland. He did not want to talk to me. And I just couldn't see myself staying in Texas for Valentine's Day with him, with our energy being that way. I couldn't see it getting any better. It didn't make sense, and I couldn't see it even being genuine, even if we did something, because I was already in a space that I didn't want to be with him on Valentine's Day. I was like, this is not gonna feel genuine. I feel some type of way towards how he's acting with me, and for me to be lovey and be the person that I am, full of love, for me to be that way on Valentine's Day, I know it's not gonna come out naturally. So for me not to feel that way or to have any expectations or whatever, I was like, it's best for me to leave because it's not going anywhere. Things are really bad. We're not communicating. It's toxic. And he didn't know I was leaving because he wasn't talking to me. But I ended up booking my flight. Or did I? I did mention it to him. Actually, I think I did mention him. I asked him, do you want me to leave? Do you care? He he was kind of like nonchalant, like do whatever you want to do kind of thing. So yeah, I ended up booking my flight and I left home. Kid you not, when I got on that plane, I started crying. I got emotional. I called one of my friends. I was like, I'm really sad. This is how I left, but I can't take it. I can't take the way we are right now. It's just too much, and I don't want to be that way. So I got emotional. I cried on the plane, and I ended up texting Chris a long message, and I'll read it to you guys because I have it. Not that long, but I told him, let me see if I find it. Okay, I said, I'm really sad. This was February 12th I left. I said, really sad I left on these terms, but it was too much for me. I've made so many sacrifices and I've been feeling so unappreciated. I don't expect things to be perfect, but some consideration goes a long way. I hope someday we learn to understand each other in ways that we never disrespect one another. And with this time apart, we think things over and come to some common ground and are able to actually communicate without arguing. Call me anytime. He's like, okay, cool, have a safe flight. So yeah, I spent Valentine's Day by myself in my house, which was cool. I'd rather have been in my own space than be accompanied by bad energy, bad vibes. I didn't want that. Obviously, I spent Valentine's Day by myself. I was always by myself. I didn't hang out with nobody, didn't hang out with my ex or nothing. People probably think that me and him was flirting and me and him was still talking. We really only spoke when it had to do with the house. And then I ended up going to New York and visiting my family. And Chris and I was talking here and there while I was in New York. And then I came back to Orlando, and Chris met me here in Orlando so that we could go on our trip to Puerto Rico for my birthday. Everything was fine. Everything was good. Back to normal. And I must say, if it wasn't for Destiny and Marquise and my uncle being there, I don't know. I really don't know how Puerto Rico, that trip would have turned out. I really don't. Given how Chris moves whenever there's an argument or a disagreement, I think that trip would have went shit. But when we landed in Puerto Rico, we had gotten into a huge fight. Literally landing. And you know what, I'm gonna say what the fight was about. So I opened up my messages in front of Chris, my DMs, and it's my birthday, and he got pissed off, saying, you must be talking to him, you must have been talking to him, you probably effed him, why would he be calling you beautiful? And I was like, oh hell no, Chris, we're not about to do this. This is not about to happen, not on my birthday. Just because someone called me beautiful, please don't do this. I already saw it. His mood changed. His mood changed completely. I asked him, I said, please don't do this just because somebody told me I'm beautiful. That's retarded. Don't act like that, whatever. We got off the plane. I went to go get the car rental. He didn't come inside with me. He stood outside. So I was dealing with the car rental by myself, and I was taking care of it, whatever. I got the car rental. He didn't ask me nothing about it. He literally stood outside. So I felt like I was already by myself. I already felt the vibes of my birthday trip, how it was gonna be, just by myself. We got in the car, and it's like 4 in the morning because we had missed our flight. We had a really late flight. In the car driving to our Airbnb, I asked Chris, I turned over and I was driving, and I said, Chris, I don't want this kind of energy, especially on my birthday. Like, we're not doing this. No 4 days not talking, none of this attitude is uncalled for. You don't even have an attitude. I don't have an attitude. He starts yelling, and he scared me. Remember when I was driving, I jumped up. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with him? Like, yelling out of nowhere. And I was like, nah, you doing too much. Like, I don't understand why you're yelling like that. Relax. I'm not gonna go into detail about the argument, but it was just, it got really, really ugly. Really, really ugly. And I was trying to be so calm, but he was so irritated about that message, and it just didn't make sense to me. And I just didn't want him to have an attitude like that the whole vacation. So I tried talking to him about it, but that didn't go nowhere. It really didn't go nowhere. He called me a bad name that I've never been called before, and I was pissed off. I was like, I do not want to sleep with him. I don't want to be in the same house with him. I'm so mad that he came. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it was gonna be like this. I knew he shouldn't have came with me for my birthday. I was just so pissed off. And every day in Puerto Rico, it wasn't good. Behind every picture that we had, there was an argument about something so silly, something dumb. And the whole trip in Puerto Rico, it was like the distance between us. It was like we were together but not together. It wasn't lovey, it wasn't affectionate, it was none of that. We didn't do nothing in Puerto Rico because the energy and the vibes wasn't there at all. And I felt some type of way the night that we landed. The way he made me feel and the way he was talking, I just couldn't be my true self. I act on my emotions. I am who I am, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat. I'm not gonna front like everything's okay. Like if I'm happy that you did this or called me this, like, so if it wasn't for meeting up with my uncle and having Destiny Marquise there and making it better and bringing light to our trip, I think it would have been hell, to be honest. But we did have fun, especially the times that we were lit. We had a good time, but outside of those moments, it was very like barely communicating, being distant, not being around me, being far, or not wanting to come with me here, not wanting to come with me there, not wanting to eat with us at the table, doing his own thing, walking away from us. It was just so immature and so petty that it was a huge turn off to me. I was just like, why on vacation are you acting like this? But whatever, we end up the trip, we still have fun. Puerto Rico was a success. I love Puerto Rico. My vacation was amazing. We came back to Orlando together. Everything was cool. We was here for a minute. I feel like past a week with Chris is not good. Something ends up happening. A big argument. We lash out. We don't talk. We got back to Orlando, whatever. He got his Instagram back. Everybody saw how he moved when he got his Instagram back. And I was teasing him. I said, well, you're going to be hooked. You're going to stay on your phone. But I was laughing about it. I didn't care. So he got his Instagram back and he was all happy. And I was happy for him too, because I would hate to lose my Instagram and not being able to, you know, be on my feet and stuff. Yeah, everything was fine. One day, out of nowhere, out random, he starts talking about the people that I follow. I follow people that I used to mess with or whatever. I said, huh, Chris, what are you talking about? We spoke about this a long time ago in Texas. Like, I'm not talking about people from Cali or anything like that. This is like people that I've always been following. Like, he just mentioned that out of nowhere. And I was like, where are you coming from? This is weird. Why are you talking about people that I follow? Like, why does that matter? This is very odd. But I knew that came with something. Chris is calculated, and I noticed that about him. I know he everything he does is for a reason. So I ignored that. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Who cares about that? Like, I'm not about to be like, yeah, this is the one I fuck. This is like, who cares about that? I said, I don't even talk to those people. Why are you bringing that up? So the very next day, I woke up in the morning, I was making breakfast. He had posted a story and I noticed that he posted this girl in a bathing suit, shout out. And I was like, oh. Night, so that I don't have to question him about what he did today. Like, you know, what he did that present day, about him following those girls or whatever. And I said, it does make sense. I mean, you guys let me know. If I'm thinking too hard, maybe I'm thinking too hard, maybe I'm digging too deep into things. But I feel like a lot of men out there, not just Chris, I feel like a lot of men justify their actions with almost anything and everything, and they would try to put it on you so that they're the victim and they could get away with it. So in my mind, I'm like, I can't believe he pressed me last night about some nonsense about me following people. And when we've had these conversations way like months ago on Instagram of like people who I follow. Used to follow people we dated before, and I was like, I don't really talk to them, so it doesn't really matter. So for him to bring it up out of left field after getting his Instagram back, I was like, something is coming after this. And sure enough, that happened. He started following 19 different girls that were practically naked and doing a shout for shout out, which, I mean, I don't know why he did that, but it is what it is. I didn't question him about it. Honestly, I didn't say nothing to him about it at all. I know people were like finding it weird, and people were telling me like, oh, you look stupid, Leslie. And it did make me feel some type of way that he posted another girl on his story, because it's like, bro, we're working together. You're making me look weird. You're making me look stupid right now. Like, why did you have to do that? I get it's a shout for shout out, but to start off with shout for shout out, there has to be some kind of dialogue there. And I know there was a communication there that I don't know what happened. I don't know what you guys were talking about. Nor does it really matter, but you're making me look some type of way. So with that being said, I gave him his breakfast. I was quiet. I was kind of in a funky mood a little bit. I was just quiet and I was just to myself. I didn't want to dig deep into that situation. I didn't want to bring it up. I didn't want to start an argument. I already knew what he did or what he was trying to do the night before. Like set it up for him. And I noticed that really quickly, and I didn't like that. I really don't like that. I don't like when someone tries to justify their actions. I think it's just better you just do it and let it be. Because the minute that you justify your actions or you find a reason to do what you're going to do, I feel like you're always going to do things like that. And I feel like that is toxic. I don't feel like that's genuine. I just feel like the whole relationship will be surrounded and around that. It will always be, I have to be on tiptoes and be careful what I'm going to do, or be careful with anything that I do, because he's a type to be like, oh, you did this, I'm about to do this, or like try to pick something from me so that it gives him a reason to get away with it and do what he wants to do. So that's what triggered me the most. But I didn't say nothing. I just kept it. Those are one of the things that I just digest, keep it in my mind, way back in my mind, and never forget. And remember that for future encounters. So with that being said, I didn't say nothing, but I guess Chris felt my vibes. And I don't think he only felt my vibes. I think he knew it even before he felt my vibe. Like, he knows that that was a trigger to social media, and it could have been for me too. But because he set that last night, he set that stepping stone for the next day, he knew there wasn't gonna be no room for me to say anything. Because had I said anything, he would have been like, but you follow these dudes, you follow this and you follow that. So that's why I didn't bother mentioning it to him, because I knew that would have been a lost argument and it was pointless. So I didn't say nothing to him. But he did ask me, so are you okay? And I said, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just quiet watching TV. And that was that. So watching TV, I can feel his vibes. He's starting to feel, I guess, my energy. If not my energy, his guilty conscience, knowing he didn't do anything wrong, but what he tried to do, what he tried to get away with, and why I put like a tape in my mouth, you can't say nothing. But I tried to go on the day, and I was like, oh, you want to go out to eat? Let's go out to eat. Let's try out this restaurant that this girl told me about. So I'm like just trying to go with the day and trying to have a nice day with him. I went to the restaurant. It was the most awkward experience ever, because he was eating with his head down, with his face down, not saying a word to me, being very quiet, not communicating with me, just being so distant. It was probably the worst dinner experience I've ever had with anybody. It was awkward as shit, and I didn't know how to fix it, because it would have been difficult. Like I could have expressed my feelings, but then I felt like he would have shut me down with, oh, who you follow these people. It's just so petty. So that's why I didn't want to bring it up. So I was like trying to like, hey, you want to try this dessert? He was just being very quiet on his phone with his head down, being very like, don't want to look at me. And I'm just like, why is he acting like this? This is so annoying. Like, forget the whole Instagram, forget all of that. Just stop acting like that. So whatever the case may be, we got home, still not talking. Maybe this is my fault. Maybe if it is my fault, I take full responsibility, because maybe had I said something or reacted or expressed my feelings, it wouldn't have lasted that long. But I just felt in my heart that it wasn't gonna go anywhere. So I didn't say nothing. When we got back to the house, he went straight to this couch, laid down, put TV on, he laid out. I got in the shower, was getting ready for bed, got comfortable. I got in bed, put the TV on. Expected him to come to bed too. It didn't seem like he was. And I was on Instagram. I see that, you know, I think he started following more people. I didn't say nothing. So I went on my Instagram, and I went through my follow list, and the two guy friends that I met in California, I refollowed them because they were still following me. And I was like, well, there's nothing wrong with me following them, because I never did nothing with them. They never tried me funny. They never tried me or disrespected me, or we never had a conversation like that, for that matter. Nothing. I was like, you know what? I mean, if Chris is gonna follow whoever he wants to follow, why can I not follow who I want to follow? So it was kind of one of those things. It was like, you know what? I'm gonna just follow them. And it was very nonchalant. I didn't do it maliciously. I didn't do it to get back at him. I didn't do it to piss him off or anything like that. I just did it because it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be me telling you who to follow, because I didn't. I never told him not to follow those people. I never said, why did you follow them? I didn't do none of that. So I was like, if I'm not doing that to him, he shouldn't do that to me. I should never gave him the right to even try to control what I do on social media. So anyway, I followed my two guy friends back, and I'm calling them my friends, and I just met them in Cali, but we really clicked. Those guys were super cool. So I followed them back. I was laying in my bed, chilling, scrolling through my feed, and I realized that Chris stopped following me. Chris unfollowed me. He unfollowed me, and I think then he blocked me. I was wondering, like, is he doing this for some attention? Is he doing this so that we can spark up a conversation because we haven't spoken all day about nothing? Is he doing this for some attention? I didn't initially think it was because I followed those guys back, but it pissed me off because I was like, why would he unfollow me knowing that people watch our Instagram? Social media is crazy, and people are gonna assume things. Like, why would he do that? So I got up from my bed and I came to the living room. I was like, Chris, why did you unfollow me? And he was like, oh, because you lied to me about how you was feeling this morning. I was like, what do you mean I was lying to you? He was like, oh, because you feel some type of way. He said, you feel some type of way about who I was following, whatever, and the girl that I posted. And I was like, that's why you unfollow me? That doesn't make sense, Chris. That's retarded. Why would you do that? Kept going back and forth. And then he finally starts to say, oh, you following dudes that I told you not to follow. And I said, what? What type of form of manipulation, controlling shit you on? Because that is not going to work with me. You cannot just do whatever you want to do and try to control me. It doesn't work like that. So without getting into too much detail, we kept going back and forth. Things escalated. I was calling him out on the things that he was doing because I'm not with that. I catch on to things. And I was just basically trying to tell Chris, like, I don't care what you do or who you follow or anything like that. I just don't want you to justify your actions. I don't want you to put me up against a wall and try to stop me from expressing how I feel or question you about something because you try to justify it through me. I was basically trying to tell Chris not move how he wants to move. Do what he wants to do. Don't try to justify his actions, and don't try to play the victim. Don't do that, because I feel like you're gonna do that in the relationship. If there was ever a relationship to bloom, I feel like you are the type of person to do that, to justify your actions, to be like, oh, you doing this, or you did this, so I'm gonna do this, so that if I ever question it, I can't. I just feel like that's a form of manipulation, and I didn't appreciate that, because I really didn't do anything wrong. My following was the same. The people that he told me to unfollow, I did unfollow them. And the current people that he was talking about, those are people that I followed way before I even met him, way before I even got to collaborate with him. So with that being said, that whole argument that night was basically like, I want you to understand that you could do whatever you want to do. Just don't try to play the victim, or don't try to justify your actions. Don't do that. Just do it. And that's basically it. It escalated. It got disrespectful. He called me on my name. And for things not to get worse than what they were already, I told one of my friends to tell him to leave. To leave, because I felt so disrespected. Even though he had a flight the next day, because we were supposed to leave the next day back to Houston together, but I couldn't leave because my debit card got canceled and I needed to wait for a new card, and I didn't want to travel without a card. So it was already established that I wasn't going to go to Texas, but he was still going to go because he still had to take care of things. But that night, it escalated. It got so disrespectful, and I felt so violated in my house, and I felt so unappreciative of the person that I am and the way I was treating you while you were in my house, how I made this home for you and did my best to make you feel comfortable and take care of you, for you to disrespect me in my house and say something that should have never came out of your mouth. It could come off a little contradicting, because I've said some things to him back in Texas that I shouldn't have, and he's never asked me to leave or anything like that. He never did that to me, but I just couldn't take it. I didn't. It was already, for me, it was like, it happened in Puerto Rico. He said something in Puerto Rico he shouldn't have said, and he apologized for it. And then we get to my house and he says something that you shouldn't have said. It was like, it happened, it was like one after the other, and I couldn't handle that. I was like, you need to go, because now it's gone too far. You in my house and you being disrespectful after how I am with you? No. So I did ask him to leave that night. I didn't want him to stay in my house, but he couldn't leave because there wasn't any rooms or any hotels, so he had to wait for the next day to leave and catch his flight. His flight was like later in the day, but he still ended up leaving early in the morning. He didn't talk to me in the morning. We didn't exchange any words. The only thing he did do was apologize that night, and he was like, I'm sorry for calling you this, and I'm gonna leave tomorrow morning. I was like, okay. So he ended up leaving in the morning. I ended up texting him. I guess it was too late, because I felt bad, because I didn't want him to feel like I kicked him out or I would leave him in the streets or whatever like that. I'm not that kind of person. My heart was heavy knowing that he was out in Orlando in the airport that early for all those hours. I wrote to him and said, you could have stood here. I wish you, spoke to me or said something. But understand that I said that and I asked you to leave because of how I felt, out of anger or whatever. He's like, oh, it's already too late, blah, 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 whatever, it's done, whatever. But, the conversation like died. He wasn't he wasn't really trying to have a conversation with me. So I just wished him well, and I told him to have a safe flight or whatever. And yeah, since he left, we wasn't talking. We wasn't talking for a minute. We spoke when I dropped that Q&A video that he called me. Why did you say that? You didn't have to say all that. And I'm like, Chris, what did I say? Because I think I said nothing wrong. I didn't say nothing bad about you. People don't know, and still, even with this video, they still don't know. I'm like, what are you talking about? I said, Chris, before you call my phone again, reevaluate yourself. Rethink what you're about to ask me. Rethink what you're about to say to me. And then call me back. Because I was not having it. I was at the gym working out. And I was like, no, you're not calling my phone. And I didn't say nothing wrong. So, anyway, I spoke to him later that day. He realized how he came off. Apologized. And we spoke about it. And that was that. We didn't speak for days. My friend and I FaceTimed him a few days later, and we had like a brief conversation, how you doing or whatever. It was nothing major, nothing about us getting back together to record, nothing about what we're doing or if we're gonna work together again, how are we, like nothing about us together. It was more like how you been and what you've been up to, how you doing, and that was it. It was very vague. The conversation wasn't like how it used to be, nothing like that. And that was pretty much it. I only spoke to him like twice since he left Florida. I don't know if I've mentioned this already, but because I know this video is super long and I do apologize, but I tried my best not to go too in depth, but give enough so you understand where I'm coming from and why I'm not ready, or why I don't feel like he's ready to be in a relationship, and why I know I'm not ready to be in a relationship. And I think that was quite obvious. He knew that Josue and I would still be in communication because we had an apartment together, and in which my name was still on the lease. So not only was my name still on the lease, so I wanted to always have a cordial relationship with Josue, and I was also getting mail sent to his house, and I still am getting mail to that apartment. So yeah, so whenever I get mail, Josue hits me up, hey, you got mail, and he sends me a picture, whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pick it up. And I remember one time I told Chris, oh yeah, I picked up my mail from Josue, everything was fine, blah blah. Like he's aware that we had conversation. I'm thinking even one of our videos, there was a question, oh, when was the last time you spoke to your ex? And I probably mentioned, oh yeah, I'm still on the lease or whatever, so we talk here and there. But yeah, so we've built a cordial relationship, like a friendship, me and Josue. Nothing that we're getting back together. We would just talk here and there, and it was always mainly about the apartment. I get emails from the apartment all the time. So every time I get an email, if he doesn't understand it, I explain it to him, blah, blah, I forward it to him. The trip to Hawaii was super spontaneous. This is not something that Josue and I was talking about for months or for weeks. It really wasn't. It was just a few days before our flight that he was like, do you want to go after my fight? We out to Hawaii. But like very fun, very like, not we about to get together, we're together, we're back in a relationship, let's get together, forgive me, we're going to Hawaii. Like, it wasn't nothing like that. Like, I would love to go to Hawaii. And this is somebody that I know and I'm comfortable with. He is very much comfortable with me too, which is why he asked me to go with him. But it wasn't like we were talking, trying to get back together or anything like that. That was not the case, and we're still not together. We're still very much single. I know it looks wrong, it feels wrong, but I have a friendship with him. I have a good relationship with him, and probably because we're not in a relationship, that's probably why. Because I was able to talk to him about Chris, and he was able to talk to me about whoever he wanted to talk about. Like, we built that kind of friendship. So when he asked me to go into Hawaii, I was like, oh, why not? I know to the world it's gonna look crazy. Everybody's gonna try to knock me down and talk bad about me. You crazy, you this hopper, you this, whatever the case may be. I knew that was gonna happen, and of course I didn't want it to be exposed that way, and nor did I want to post, and I didn't want people to think that we were back together or anything like that, because I knew if I posted anything, people were gonna be like, oh, you guys are back together, this is crazy. And we're not. We just went on a trip. And whatever, it looks wrong, it is what it is. I'm grown. Josue and I have history. we're comfortable with each other. We have a good relationship right now. We're cool. And that's really it, y'all. I went to Hawaii. I had an amazing time, amazing experience in Hawaii. And I thank him for inviting me on that trip. And we shared a beautiful time together. That's really it. I didn't do anything intentionally to hurt Chris. I didn't do anything on purpose to come back at him or hurt him or anything like that. I know my conscience is clean and I have a pure heart, and I won't ever want to hurt anybody. That is unlike me to do. And yeah, me being in Hawaii and me just going on vacation was just that, me going on vacation. I know it's with my ex, but if it was with anybody, any other guy, it would have been the same response, honestly. You a this hopper, you a this hopper, you a slut, you a hoe, you this, you that, how could you do this, how could you do that? But you guys don't know, nobody knows what happens behind closed doors. To end this off with Chris, we haven't really talked, we haven't spoken. Really, I feel like we really haven't spoken since he's left, because we never spoke about anything. We didn't have closure. He left off on a really bad note. We didn't speak about it, and still the last 2 times that we spoke, we didn't end that conversation. We didn't fix it. We didn't talk about it. It was kind of just left up in the air, like whatever happens happens kind of thing. So if you ask me, am I his friend? Is he still my friend? I'd hope so. I don't see why we can't be friends, honestly. I still don't think I'm ready and he's not ready. I know people are like, oh, you're not over your ex. I'm probably not over my ex. But it is still a work in progress. I didn't leave him 2 years ago, you know? Being in my own space, being in my own sanctuary, I feel strong. I feel protected. Just me and God. God will continue to guide me through this journey, and he knows what's for me, what's not for me, and everything in life are just lessons learned. And I have faith in God, and in my heart I know that I didn't intentionally hurt anybody, or I didn't mean to hurt anyone, and I move out of love. And a lot of people don't agree with the decisions that I make, but I live for myself. I don't live for nobody else. Now, if I'm in a relationship and I'm committed to somebody, I'm committed to that person. Other than that, outside of that, I'm entitled really to do whatever I feel like doing. And people are entitled to their opinion, and people could judge whoever they want to judge. It is what it is. The main reason of aloha is love, and this world needs a lot of love, and I'm all about love. So that's why I got tatted, and it's probably one of my favorite tattoos because I have that ugly tree here. But the aloha right here on my side is my favorite tattoo because it's really delicate, it's pretty. The meaning behind aloha and the story behind it that I learned in Hawaii made me want to get this tattoo, and I absolutely love it. So aloha to everyone. Thank you all so much for watching. Please know that I didn't make this video to bash anybody or to talk bad about Chris or anything like that. I just wanted you to see everything from my point of view and how I was feeling, me as a woman, me as Leslie. And that's really it. I love all of you.